Well, this is Pops, and Ultimate Spider Man #1 is possibly the biggest book and definitely the biggest Spider Man book in quite a while. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this. I really, really, really do. First off, I will say this: it's the first time I've read a Spider Man book in a long while where I'm looking forward to reading what happens next. That's a positive and a negative. It's a positive because that's what a book should do. It should make me want to read more and buy more, buy another comic book, right? With that said, I am no fan of this alternate universe nonsense that Marvel has been addicted doing. I am no fan of this concept of I mean, I've been down this rabbit hole before, right? I've been here. So I don't have a desire for them to make another Miles Morales and oh, it's only in the Ultimate Universe and it'll be in my universe. And I don't want to watch another universe full of knockoff characters and all of that. But at the same time, I felt like I was enjoying something very interesting and rich in the story. And Jonathan Hickman did all that. He created something different and interesting for me to work from. Now, with that said, I'm no big fan of Ultimate Invasion that they did, and I thought all of that was just kind of a waste of my time. But here, they give me first off, let me give them credit. They give us a synopsis for us to get what's been going on. We didn't have to read what previously came. They don't always do this. This is one of my complaints with modern comics. We get what we needed to know. Marco, I think it's Checchetto, I think is how you say their name. I could be wrong. Tons of variant covers, of course. Um, and basically, it's just an alternate place where Peter never got bit by a spider. He's kind of a 35-year-old sort of, I don't want to say a loser because he's with Mary Jane. They have 2 kids. He has a job. He seems as though his world lines up with what we'd expect a Peter Parker to be in, but he's just not Spider Man. Since he's not Spider Man, there are a lot of other things in the universe that have taken place or not taken place. These are his kids. And if you don't want all those spoilers, you'll have to kind of bear with me. I'll give you a warning when I get there. But imagine a place where there were no superheroes. Now, the first thing I'll do is I'll say shame on them because they didn't come up with something a lot more interesting and clever with, let's say, Kang and Doom and some of the things that would have made more sense. They've made everything in Marvel so complicated that even the setup for this is rather complicated. However, I didn't have to read that. I could have just jumped in on this book and kind of been, okay, I'm in for Ultimate Spider-Man. This is the universe. This is what's going to happen. Now, another reason I'm mixed on this book. Nothing happens in this book. This is almost like a zero book. This is almost like the setup to the actual book because um, all the variant covers and all the stuff has Spider-Man on it. And guess what? He's never Spider-Man, right? So we'll get to that in a minute. But I can't stand that sort of like bait and switch mentality that they do with things where they try to, this is what's going to happen, and we never get there. It's all about talking. And I will say, even though it's a Spider-Man book, even though it's a Peter Parker story, he's really not the main character in this book. He is it fits because of his character. It fits because he wasn't Spider-Man. He's a character trying to find himself. He's struggling with almost like 35-year-old. It's too early to call it a midlife crisis, but he had, and there are some lines, some great lines in here that kind of spell it out for us. So I want to get to that briefly. But if you don't want any spoilers or something beyond this point, I totally get it. But imagine a world where Peter Parker didn't get by a spider, who might still be around and how the world might look is part of that twist and turn. So that's what I'll say about this. I'm going to tell you, this is one of the hottest books right now. It's sold like hotcake. It's already sold out. They're on second prints. People have been scooping up variant covers for this reason. If you do not have a copy, I would just recommend trying to figure out something digitally because at this point you'd be overpaying. So that being said, that's kind of where we're at on this. So in this universe, this is Mary Jane. Her design is actually interesting. I don't want to say good or bad on her. I think she's very pretty. She's sexy. She's got bright green eyes, red hair. All that works. And there's this little ball here, and then we're going to come through the story, and then you have J. Jonah Jameson with some other purple-haired person working at the paper, by the way, and then you have the big twist, Ben Parker. So Uncle Ben didn't pass away because Peter didn't go through the crisis of his loss, and all of that. So none of that actually happened. Now you end up with the story where it's more about Jonah and Ben Parker and the battle of the paper and this attack that had taken place, which is what was mentioned in the introduction here, back here in the beginning. There was this introduction of this attack. The attack's blamed on Tony Stark. So we'll read that. So 20 years ago, the Maker prevented radioactive spider, blah, blah, blah. When Tony Stark learned the dark history of his universe, he sought to undo it, prompting the Maker's Council to attack Manhattan, killing thousands, frame Stark for it. Peter Parker has lived his life unaware of the Maker's Council and the truth behind the spider. Okay. So that's kind of a little bit of the setup and what's actually going on. So the Bugle is being run and being taken over and basically being controlled. So they first have to go to a funeral. So all this talking is about going to this funeral and the people that were lost. So they lost Aunt May and many, many people died. And here is Matt Murdock, who is a Catholic priest. He's given this conversation and eulogizing over different people, and then calling up Harry Osborn, talking about the loss of Norman and Emily, who also died. So you have that alternate universe where, yeah, we have Ben, but we don't have Aunt May. We have Harry, but we don't have Norman. Matt's obviously not Daredevil in this universe. So there's a lot of different things. And there's conversations that we get that kind of flush out all these different character dynamics and how they're different before you get to the backstory of the Bugle and Ben and here we go, Kingpin. Ben and Jonah are basically being strong armed out of business by the Kingpin, who wants to use the Daily Bugle as like his mouthpiece, propaganda piece, that kind of thing. And then, of course, you have references to tons of other characters along the way. The one thing I will say about this is I love the fact that Ben is still sort of like a beacon of being like a stoic, pious man. He's a very staunch intellectual who gives great advice to Peter, encouraging him, everything like that. And then he has great interactions with Jonah. They go to a bar. Oh, this is a like an attack on Kingpin, by the way, a car bomb. And there's of course the Green Goblin, which again I didn't like because this is almost like we're going to mimic the original Ultimate Spider-Man #1 by having Goblin be there, right? I did not like this. I did not like this at all. I thought that was kind of weak, but kind of goes through the motions here with the bar. They're going to start their own news agency and whatever. And of course, there's mockery, there's shenanigans, and all that before Peter arrives. And Peter, um, it's this great exchange here is what saves the book for me, right? He's talking about my wife is very much alive, and I have a family and responsibilities that exceed professional bliss. I don't know, I can blow everything up just because I want my life to change. Peter, no one's expecting you to join us. If you do, that's great. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something else. He asked about in their marriage. Um, I think she deserves better than me, but she disagrees, which makes it even better. It's just the longest time I thought something was wrong with my life, Ben. There's something that was wrong with me. I can't really explain it. Now I just know that I've been right all along and I don't know what to do. Okay. And then he says, well, have you ever heard the saying, inaction is action? Okay. And then it's like a garbage way of saying, don't spend your life waiting for something to happen, make it happen. Now, why did this work for me? It's a little on the nose, and again, this is a comic book with next to no action. There's a car bomb, and there's some allusion to other stuff, but there's nothing that actually happens to this book, which is its biggest negative. The only thing that works for me here is this setup. It's that even though we're in an alternate universe and Peter doesn't become Spider-Man, he doesn't get bit. It's the fact that he knows there's something, and so when you get to the end and you have the big reveal, this is his conversation with Mary Jane, which works because she says, go get him, Tiger. This part, there's a quick statement here about how he supported her, things like that. And then, of course, when he goes to the rooftop, he has that ball, and then he opens it up. This is the message from Tony, and then he opens it up, and there's the spider inside. Okay, so, best book ever? No, absolutely not. But he lets it bite him, and of course, then you have just a silhouette. So not really Spider-Man. but it made me want to find out more. I'm okay with playing in this universe, which makes me kind of a hypocrite because I don't like these kinds of things. So take that with a grain of salt. Take that for what it is. I totally get a love-hate for this. I totally get it. But at the same time, I cannot tell you the last time I've wanted to read another Spider-Man book. And that's how I felt when I was done. Maybe they'll screw it up. We're also going to get other Ultimate titles like Black Panther, I think, is after Spidey, X-Men after that. But I'm okay so far. And I also am a hypocrite because nothing happens in this book. I would like some Spider-Man in my Spider-Man book. I would like Peter Parker to be more center stage and things like that. So this felt more like a zero book, like a setup book to the actual story starting. That's the honest truth. Take all this with the evaluation as you want. Make your decisions. You let me know what you think. Either you're going to read it, not going to read it. You did read it, like it. Tell me what you guys think. That's my take on it. I am Pops.
Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing.